Alright guys, so we got our rod. Got to cut that to length. Now this is just my makeshift lever action, guys. I got a black one on the way, and it's going to be about another 10 to 12 inches long. This is just my mock-up to get everything going. But this is what you're wanting to look for when you make a lever, guys. You want it to be able to move freely. We're going to have it return springed and all that. I went to the local hardware store, and what I wanted to find was a bolt that went all the way through this and the lever itself. Because what you want to do is, you don't want to just bolt this thing right to the frame, because what ended up happening, that thing will just start getting all wobbly. Now, they didn't have the size bolt I needed, but this eye bolt is actually doing a pretty good job, and pretty much acts as a bolt on the other end. So what we did here is, we tightened our eye bolt first with a lock washer and our nut. Then we put two of these big washers on each side to give it just a little bit more stability. And then we tightened our first nut as much as we could without tightening it too much, as well as not leaving it loose. So we got some pretty good action here. Then once we found that, we dropped this other nut on there with the lock washer to lock that first nut in, giving us a nice, smooth, clean, tight lever action. Ain't gonna make a lot of noise, but that's gonna be the idea of our lever. And what's gonna happen is, guys, is we're gonna come down actually about 2 more inches, cut half the tubing off about 1 inch, insert our hole, which we'll be able to hook our brake rod into. Now we're gonna have to shorten this brake rod a little bit, guys, but I want to get my first the handle I want on here first, so I don't miscalculate. Because once I cut it off, you can't add two. I mean, I guess I could, but don't really want to. I just want one spot that it's going to be broken welded. And what we're going for here, guys, we want this handbrake kind of touchy. We don't want too much play in it. I want it just, barely you touch it, it's going to lock up. And like I said, we'll have a series of return springs. We'll have one up here leading down there, and we'll actually have one on the bottom pivot leading to back there, so we get a nice good spring on our lever here. Now, being that's a rod, guy, usually you'd want to put like a catch behind here so your rod doesn't do one of these things, or your lever, but we got the frame it's hitting against. And with this metal rod, you're only going to go so far forward and so far back anyways, so I think our springs will do fine just by themselves. We shouldn't need to make a little catch bar here. We'll find out, but I think we'll be all right. But yeah, it's going to work out nicely. Tap the end of that rod there so we could fit it with a bolt or a nut, so it'll stay on there nice and snug. But this is going to work out nice, guys. And splitting these rods ain't that big a deal. Like I said, I'm not a champion welder, guys, but I can make a weld that sticks. This did have the original Handbrake on it, but we utilized about 2/3 of this rod to create our hydro brake setup. But like I said, guys, I prefer these rods over them cables any day of the week. Cable snap. Cable snaps on your accelerator, not a big deal. Cable snaps on your brake, you ain't stopping. Me personally, guys, the metal rods. What's going to happen is we're going to outfit it down here underneath our pivot point, so as we pull back, it tightens the brake. Now, if it was above your pivot point, you'd have to push it forward to get it to stop. So you really want it underneath that pivot point so it rolls and pulls on it. See how it's going to do? It's going to pull on that when we want to brake. And it's going to return back to there when we release. Brake, release, like a standard handbrake would do. But we about got it, guys. Just waiting on our handle now, and we can put it together.